Practice your English speaking alone. If you study alone and you need ideas to help you practice your English speaking, this video is for you because I want to share 3 exclusive ideas, tips that will help you understand how you could practice your English speaking alone, especially as you don't have any private teacher or any course. So it is essential that you establish a speaking regimen, and that's what I'll show you in this video. Make sure to subscribe because there's always a different kind of English lesson around here. But tip number 1 is sentence creation, focusing on past and present. Now, stay with me for a minute because I will give you some explanations and examples. But in a nutshell, I have talked to thousands of people in English. And one pattern that I have noticed is that students often forget the past when having conversations in English. They confuse past conjugations, present conjugations, and the only way for you to become better at this and forget less frequently, because we are human beings, we forget, it is by establishing a speaking routine, focusing, targeting the past. Simple past, regular and irregular verbs, forming sentences because students confuse the position of words in sentences. And here, my goal is to work on past and present, but you can also include this kind of exercise to focus on future. It all boils down to your difficulty. But from what I noticed, present and past are the ones students struggle the most in conversations. So how does this work in a nutshell? And by the way, I have a membership here on my channel, and I will make a second video and I will post it today for the members of the channel with exercises so that we can do this in practice, okay? I will show you how to get this done in more detail, so become a member of the channel. But here we go. Here's an idea. You can create some prompts, okay? So the focus here is to create sentences. I'm not asking you to be speaking and speaking and speaking. No, you will focus on sentence creation. So here is one prompt for you. Create a question and answer it. You need to use the word organize. So how do you create a question with it? What is the sentence? That's what you need to do. But you need to do this orally. This is the catch. I don't want you to write because this is not a writing exercise. Oh, Priscilla, so I can never write. Of course you can. You can. That's no problem. But for this purpose, the goal of this video is to show you a speaking exercise. So can you create a question right now and answer it with the word organize? Or maybe just create a question. When was the last time you organized your bookshelf? Very nice. When was the last time you organized your bookshelf? You could be thinking, Priscilla, you used organized in a question. That is possible? Yes, it is. Depending on how you ask the question, it is possible. So when was the last time is the main part of the question. When was the last time you organized your bookshelf? Very good question. I need to organize my bookshelf. So I am creating. And you can do this in the past. You can do this in the present. And you can use different words. More specifically, guys, speak verbs. And then create sentences. That's the idea. Giveaway. Create one sentence, affirmative sentence with giveaway. 2 weeks ago, I gave away many old shoes. They're actually in very good condition. I am continuing, but my goal here is to just make sentences. I don't want you to turn this into a long speaking exercise. I gave away 2 jackets 2 weeks ago. It is true. I actually think it's more than 2 jackets. I gave away 3 or 4 jackets 2 weeks ago. I organized my closet and gave away a ton of old outfits, dresses, t-shirts, because sometimes we need to do that, right? It's good for us and for the world. Buy. Create 2 affirmative sentences and 2 affirmative and negative sentences. I bought a new tennis racket this morning. Actually, my father bought it as a present. Yay! So you see, that's the exercise. It's oral. It's speaking. But I will give you another tip to help you with tip number 1, which is, guys, if you are alone, you need practical ideas. This is not a written exercise. There are other videos here on my channel where I talk about exercises you can do in writing to help you with your English speaking, but that's not the goal today. Oh, Priscilla, how can I create these cards by myself? You can use ChatGPT, you can use Google, and you can think of the verbs you use the most. This is also important. You need to raise awareness of the words you typically forget. So pick some verbs and use them in the past. There's so many verbs. Pick some popular ones that you're going to use. Moving on. Timed questions. How much can you speak in 1 minute? How much? Have you ever tested? In a nutshell, you're going to pick up your phone, you're going to set a timer, and you're going to speak for a minute, answering a question at a time. You can Google questions. Honestly, guys, I prefer to use Google for this one. ChatGPT will not give you very good questions if you don't give really good commands. It always goes back to the same boring questions. And on Google, you can find many websites with different English questions based on many subjects. So use Google for this one. I don't think ChatGPT will be very useful for you, okay? So Google English questions for conversations. That's basically the prompt you have to insert. English questions for conversations. And pick 10, pick 12, 13, 20, you name it. And you're going to answer each question for a minute. But here's the catch. What are you going to do? You're going to transcribe that question, or you're going to use this website, dictation.io/speech. And in addition to setting the timer, you will need a microphone, okay? And I recommend using a computer, but if you're just using your phone, you can use other apps and you will have to find a different app, okay? But I like doing this when I'm using my computer. It's more comfortable. This is my office, and it's also where I sit down to study. So what are you going to do? You picked a question. When was the last time you organized your closet, okay? Your wardrobe or closet. And then I'm going to set a timer to 1 minute, and I will activate this website, okay? I will push the button to record, and I will start speaking. And what is this website going to do? It'll transcribe real time what you're saying. And why is this a good idea? Because, guys, of course it is not perfect. It is not accurate. However, it does give you an estimate of how accurate your pronunciation is. So if your pronunciation is not on point, then the transcription is not going to work as efficiently. But this is good because that way you can identify your weaknesses and how much the machine was able to understand, because this will reflect how much people actually understand you in real life. And not to mention that when you transcribe your speaking exercise, you can pay attention to the words you used, how much you repeated certain words, some possible mistakes. Then you can use Grammarly, ChatGPT to provide you with some corrections. Keep in mind that corrections provided by AI will not be 100% accurate, and in many cases can cause more confusion because you're looking at a correction as a student. You still need some guidance there. But I like to use it, but always I have a professional background, so I can tell the difference between a good comment and a bad one. So this is the part where you don't have so much experience, but it's better than doing nothing as you were alone. It's a good practice. And you can go back to tip number 1. You can create your sentence, you can use this website, and then you will see your sentence. And if you have Grammarly or even Microsoft, if you type a text on Microsoft and you activate the English language, you will also be able to see some interesting insights and feedback. So this is very useful if you're working on your English alone and you don't have any real-time correction. This is something that even I do when I am practicing my English, because I practice my speaking alone. So when I am practicing my timed question, which I do, I set a timer to 1 minute, 2 minutes. I speak a little more because of my level. And once the timer is up, I check the transcript. I identify the moments when I repeated a certain word too much, or maybe there's a sentence that is confusing, and I try to work it one more time and fix some mistakes. So this is a very useful speaking and pronunciation exercise. Now, before I continue to tip number 3, make sure to share this video with a friend. And if you're interested, I have two good things that you can perhaps purchase if you're interested. My study plan cycle, which will be a plan to help you understand how to study by yourself, very efficient by the way, and my speaking assessment call. This is not available like for everyone because I have a limited schedule, but if you find the link in the description of this video, you will be able to book a call. It's not free, of course, you have to purchase, but it's a 1-hour assessment call where I analyze your English speaking, all the mistakes, everything you need to work on, your strengths, weaknesses, what you can do, what you should be doing so that you can improve your English fluency faster. And once the call is up, I also prepare a PDF report with my main instructions and recommendations. So this is a wonderful product that if you purchase, it's a 1-hour call, a consulting assessment call that if you're interested, you can find the link in the description of this video. But let's move on. Opinion practice, another really uncomfortable situation to many English speakers, especially at an intermediate level where they don't know very well how to share their opinion. And why they don't feel comfortable sharing their opinion? Because they don't practice. They don't practice enough. And in the video that I am preparing for the members, I created 2 questions so that you can practice sharing your opinion. Because one thing is to say, oh, I don't like this movie because it was a little boring. That is a very simple opinion. There's a very simple explanation. And when you go to the real world, where you actually have different conversations, where you're at work and sometimes the conversation changes and you need to share a more polished, a more complex, a more robust answer describing how you feel, how you see a certain thing, your perspective, that's when students panic and completely get stuck. So to improve that, you need to work on opinion, learning to share your opinion, learning to express yourself. This is the best way for you to improve your communication skills and your confidence, okay, guys? Because improving your confidence will require the proper practice. This is what I teach my private students. This is what I teach my students in my academy, my online program, something I also talk about during my speaking assessment calls, and it's something you can do even if you are alone. You just need to prepare yourself for these situations, okay? And you can also use Google. I recommend using Google. And another way to search for questions where you have to share your opinion, more advanced questions. Another way to share opinion is to pick the latest discussions and subjects happening around the world and take the time to share your opinion about them. So take a look at the news. What is going on right now? I don't know when you're watching this, but what's going on right now in the world? Set a timer, 1 minute. How do you feel about it? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Prepare yourself for these questions. How do you feel about it? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Why? Because this is how you prepare for real life conversations, and that's how you display more confidence when you're better prepared. Other than that, my friends, share this video with a friend. Don't forget to subscribe. But other than that, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.